Welcome to the 2024 Conference on Innovations and Solutions for Ending Unsheltered Homelessness. Please welcome to the stage Mary Frances Kenion for a land acknowledgement.
All right. Good afternoon. It's my privilege to welcome you to Innovations and Solutions for Ending Unsheltered Homelessness, hashtag NAEH 2024. Before we jumpstart the conference, and as a non-native, I want to share knowledge that already belongs to those who are Aboriginal to the San Francisco Peninsula. Before California was Spain, Mexico, or the United States, the Ramaytush Ohlone, a title which recognizes them as part of a larger group of Costanoan-speaking peoples, were here. And while we gather here, I ask that we honor the Ramaytush Ohlone as the people who have been stewards of this land, their ancestral homeland, for thousands of years. Present-day California is home to 110 federally recognized Indian tribes and about 81 groups seeking federal recognition. Despite a long history of harmful policies towards American Indians, which have resulted in the erasure of their customs and traditions, forced assimilation, stolen sovereignty, and unceded land, they are still here. In fact, San Francisco has one of the largest urban Native populations in the country because of systematic relocation of Native people off their ancestral lands to urban city centers. American Indians are 4 times as likely to experience homelessness compared to the rate of their white counterparts, like most groups of color, based on extensive histories of experiencing oppression. And as guests here, the Alliance is making a donation to the Association of Ramaytush Ohlone. But before I finish, I invite you to join me in pairing some self-reflective action to this land acknowledgement. So I'm leaving you with 3 questions to reflect on from the Native Governance Center. 1, are any of your behaviors causing harm to Indian country? 2, are you appropriating Native culture? And 3, have you stopped to examine how your local lawmakers and candidates are voting on issues impacting Indian country? Now, get excited to join me in welcoming none other than Miss Ann Oliva. Hi, everybody. We can do a little bit better than that. Good afternoon, everybody. First, thank you so much to Mary Frances for doing the land acknowledgement and doing it so thoughtfully. Really appreciate it. It is so wonderful to see all of you here in San Francisco for the Alliance's 2024 Innovations and Solutions for Ending Unsheltered Homelessness Conference. We are grateful to have you here on the West Coast with us this week, and we think that we have a great few days in store for you with a variety of sessions that cover a lot of topics that you all have been asking for, from improving shelter to expanding affordable housing options, and lots in between. The very popular transformation talks that we launched last March are also on the agenda, alongside plenty of opportunities to discuss specific topics with colleagues from across the nation. We also have some really great plenary speakers, including the Alliance staff you know and love, as well as Jameen Bryan from HUD, California's new Secretary of Business, Consumer Services and Housing, and former CEO of All Home here in the Bay Area, Tamika Moss. Mark, I know, right? I think she's only like 2 weeks into her job and she came here to talk to you. We have Mark Horvath from Invisible People, Juha Kahila from the Y Foundation in Finland, and our close partner, Regina Cannon from Arc for Justice. And we will end our time together this week with a fantastic panel of leaders from across our sector working in city, state, and federal roles with lived experience of homelessness. That includes Dr. Valicia Adams-Kellum from Los Angeles. Come on, you can do better than that. Sarah Fox from Connecticut, Nate Fields from New Orleans, Nichelle Carver from the U.S. Interagency Council on Homelessness. It's a great lineup. And as always at the Alliance's conferences, we are going to work hard, but also have time to connect, relax, and recharge for the year ahead. And I noticed that even before the conference, a lot of you have been using the new app that it seems you like to start important conversations and create community with each other. And we urge you to please, please keep doing that. So on that note, if you have been to any of the last 3 conferences since I became CEO of the National Alliance, you know that I start with a roll call to see who's in the room so you all can sort of be in community with each other. So if you feel comfortable, raise your hand in response to the questions that I'm asking if they apply to you, knowing that you can be in more than one category. And I encourage you all to look around because you're going to see someone that you want to connect with during this conference based on how they respond. So the first one's an easy question. It's a warm-up. How many of you have already used the app to set up meetings or share information or ask questions? Wow, that's a lot of you. Pretty much everybody. Okay, who is at an Alliance in-person conference for the first time? Welcome. How many folks in the audience have lived experience of homelessness, housing instability, or of the systems that are related to homelessness? Welcome. How about frontline staff? Nice. We got a contingent over here. How many are COC or other systems leadership? How about tribal members or tribal leadership? Not enough. Not enough. Thank you for being here. TA providers and funders. Other national organization staff. Very good. How about, let's see the hands of our federal, state, or local government staff. How about any housers? Any housers we got here today? Nice, nice. The first time I asked that question, only one person raised their hand. And here's the question that I always end with. Take a good look around for this one because I know that we have a ton of wisdom in this room today. How many of you have been doing this work? Let's start with 5 years, for 5 years or more. How about 10 years or more? All right, how about 20 years or more? That is some powerful stuff. It's powerful stuff. Thank you all for being here today. Myself, I raised my hand at 20 years or more. I started in this field as a VISTA volunteer in 1992. That was an unexpected applause line. Thank you. I was fresh out of college, all excited about changing the world. Do you remember that feeling? Do you remember it? Your excitement about changing the world for the better? Sometimes I can call that feeling up so clearly. And sometimes it's hard to tap into because we're in a tough environment. We collectively need to find the rays of light, the joy in what we do to get through those tough moments. We need to find our inspiration and our voice to make the change that we want to see. And I think it's important to know that we are all in this together, all of us. We have to be in this together. So I'm starting today by sharing something that inspired me recently. And I don't often share super personal stuff in this type of space, but I'm going to break that rule a little bit today.
It's been a tough few months for me. The 2023 point in time count data, a 12% national increase in homelessness and increases across all populations and subpopulations, brought us to a number that we haven't seen since 2007. 2007 was the year that I started as the director of the SNAPS office at HUD. And for just a moment, it felt like all this work that I have dedicated my professional life to could be for nothing. And on the personal side, I've also had some challenging stuff with my family that included the death of my uncle. You all know I'm Cuban, so I call him my tío Mario, passed away recently. And because of all of these challenges, I was having a lot of trouble writing these remarks that I'm giving to you today, mostly because I wasn't feeling the inspiration to get up here and bring joy and bring light in the way that I wanted to. My tío Mario was a Catholic priest. He served in an order dedicated to education. He spent most of his life working to ensure that kids all over Latin America have access to education, including working in some of the remotest and poorest regions of the world. He touched a lot of people with his generous spirit, and as an adult, I felt a kinship with him beyond our familial bond due to the mission-oriented work that we shared and talked about with each other. And when he passed, I felt a little bit of my light dim. Last week, I went to his funeral in Miami, and people came from around the world to honor him. And as I watched people pour into the church for his service, I felt some of that light start to come back just from that outpouring of love for him. And then the head of his order, who came from Italy, from Rome to be at his funeral, told a story that I had never heard before. At one point in my uncle's career, the Pope wrote him a letter telling him that he had to tell all of the other priests in his order that the schools that they had worked so hard to support had to be closed. It was devastating news. But my uncle took the direction. He took the direction from the Pope, as one does, and wrote the letter. And in it, he broke the news, but he went further than that. And he told his brothers in the order to keep fighting, to keep working towards their goals, to continue to approach their mission with joy and love. And he signed it with a flourish. So the brothers did what he said. And although it took some years and lots of effort, the head of the order from the church where we were having my uncle's funeral reported that eventually the schools were reestablished and their work got back on track. And I needed to hear that story of determination and perseverance and joy. I needed it right at that moment to help clarify my own aspirations. And he went on to say that he learned 3 important things from my uncle that he carries with him every day. The first is to always stay united. The second is to never lose your joy. And the third is to keep fighting for what you believe in, even through the hardest of times. And I could not have asked for a more timely and needed intervention than the one that I got that day at the church. It brought back that feeling that we just all talked about, that feeling of wanting and believing that we can change the world. Sometimes it takes time. Sometimes there are bumps in the road. Sometimes the bumps feel like mountains. But if we stay united, don't lose the joy, and keep fighting for what we believe, we do make progress. So I am passing the gift of those words on to you today because they reflect what we're going to be doing together here in San Francisco this week. We're connecting with each other so that we can get and stay united in our work to end homelessness. We are bringing the joy and positive energy while we are here together, and we are doubling down on what we know works and finding new ways to fight for what we collectively believe. And we need to keep those things front of mind because 2024 is going to be a pivotal year for us as a sector and as a movement. We have a presidential election and important elections at the local and state levels. We have a Supreme Court case that will determine how people can legally be treated simply for being homeless. We have powerful people taking aim at evidence-based practices and looking for ways to further marginalize people. But there are also many people across our sector who are fighting for what they believe and changing their corners of the world for good. You'll see tomorrow that when you walk around in Helsinki, Finland, you don't see people living unsheltered. That is powerful, and it shows it can be done. And it can be done without arresting and fining people for simply existing in public. This has to be the year that we make the case and bring people into this fight with us, to advocate for more resources and solid policy, to educate our elected leaders on solutions that work, and to push back on punitive and ill-conceived strategies that create more harm. Homelessness and affordable housing is on the agenda this year in a way I certainly have not seen in my career. And maybe it'll make it into the State of the Union address this week. Arguably, that's one of the biggest platforms that we've ever had. And what we do with this attention and opportunity is up to us. If we seize it, if we stay unified, if we hold on to our joy and keep fighting for what we believe, we can have big and small victories. We can defeat bad legislation. We can develop and work with local champions. We can push Congress to support our workforce and make it easier for people to access housing and services. We can lean into what we know works and innovate when needed to get people rehoused, and we can prevent homelessness to begin with. But have no doubt that if we don't speak up, others will. Folks who have different values and different motivations will be heard unless we make our voices louder and bring others along with us. And at the Alliance, we know how high the stakes are. So over the next few months, you're going to see us begin to roll out components of a 3-year plan to meet the moment that we're in. First and foremost, we'll be maintaining and strengthening the things that we do best. That means supporting continuums of care, providers, and frontline staff to do their jobs with excellence, to find the balance so many of you are struggling with between implementing short-term strategies to keep people safe and pursuing long-term solutions that will end this crisis. And that means providing the research and analysis you rely on to do your jobs and make the case to your local elected officials and leaders. I hope folks have seen the research team's recent reports on frontline staff, on homelessness among gender-expansive people, and on HUD's special unsheltered NOFO. You'll hear a little bit more about this work from Joy Moses in a minute. Supporting the field also means providing direct support to communities to connect as many people as possible to housing and services through our capacity building team's work. Webinars on hot topics, our expanded Center for Learning and YouTube channel, and more on-site technical assistance is on the agenda as we move forward. Frances Kenion will talk about the CAP team's work in just a minute as well. And supporting you all means more assistance for state and local advocates in states like Wisconsin, Indiana, Kansas, and Tennessee, who are staying unified and fighting back against bad state laws and they're winning. It means educating legislators and key community members and holding even our friends accountable for the actions that they are or are not taking at the federal level. It means pushing for more affordable housing and the services people need. It means releasing policy tools that will help you all navigate challenging situations at the state and local levels. And you'll hear a little bit more on the policy team's work from Marcy Thompson also in just a minute. And lastly, providing support to the field also means learning from you and telling others about your incredible work. So I want to take a couple minutes here to share some things that we've been hearing about. I don't want anybody to feel left out. I can only pick a few. So here are some of the things. Anybody here from Santa Clara County here in California? All right. A regional collaboration in Santa Clara County worked together to pass Measure A, an affordable housing bond that is providing nearly $1 billion with a B, $1 billion to fund affordable housing units across 10 different cities in the county. Folks in Kentucky are real busy these days. I don't know if any of them are here, but folks in Kentucky are fighting back against a heinous new piece of legislation that would not only criminalize people for camping on public land, but allow landowners to use deadly force against unhoused people as part of a stand your ground law. And at the same time, they're fighting that. At the same time, the Balance of State Kentucky COC also won a HUD special NOFA grant that is allowing them to expand street outreach and create more than 200 units. Newark, New Jersey was one of the communities that bucked the national trend. Anybody here from New Jersey? Nice. They bucked the national trend of increasing homelessness in 2023 with a nearly 58% drop in its unsheltered population in the 2023. That community is unified in their approach to increase access to housing and services for people experiencing homelessness all across their community. Chicago, anybody from Chicago? Chicago worked closely with people with lived expertise to design and get funding for a new project that will provide stabilization housing for folks who want trauma-informed services before heading into PSH. Nicely done, Chicago. And here in San Francisco, funding made available through the state's Home Key program allowed the city to both prevent blight and get people rehoused. I could go on. Nicely done, San Francisco. I could go on. There are so many examples from all over the country of communities seizing the moment and leading with love and leading with evidence to make the progress that we need. So I've now been here at the Alliance for a little bit more than a year and a half. And in that time, I've been thinking a lot about our value proposition. So has the entire team, because we know we need to meet the moment that we're in right now. So in addition to doubling down on the incredibly important work of directly supporting the field in the ways that I just described, we plan to do more. We plan to work more deeply alongside partners in key states, in addition to our existing work here in California. That means bringing all of our tools to bear in states where we think we can have a strong impact. More to come on those plans later. We're elevating our communications work in a way that reaches people across the nation who could be our allies, but aren't quite there yet. And at the same time, we need to make sure that continuums of care and advocates have the tools that they need to be strong ambassadors for our sector. Because negative rhetoric stalls our progress. We need to use as many tools and approaches as possible to reach the right people, the people who can be moved to join us with the right message. And in a shameless plug, let's put it up. I encourage you all to check out our new Instagram account. But these efforts, all these efforts that I just described, aren't going to be enough if we can't access more housing to get people off the streets and end their homelessness. And that means partnering consistently and strategically with national affordable housing industry leaders and developers to make sure that not only is affordability and housing supply increased, but that the people we serve have access to that housing as it is created. And maybe most importantly, we're doing all of this, whether it's new work or deepening the work that we've done for many years, by centering love, equity, and lived experience in all that we do. And we're going to need all of those components working together going forward. For those of you who raised your hands when I asked if you've been doing this work for 10 or 20 years, you know that at one time, not that long ago, the sector stopped talking about managing homelessness and set goals towards ending it. We made progress in key areas. And as a nation, as a field and as a nation, we had faith that with the right policies, resources, and leadership, that we could accomplish that audacious goal. But other factors have taken over. The housing market, the economic and behavioral health effects of the pandemic, the divisiveness that has seeped into the issue that we all care about, they've all eroded the sense that homelessness is solvable. The public has begun to lose faith in our nation's ability or our will to do it, but we haven't. What we're seeing is that when faith is lost, bad decisions get made. People get hurt, marginalized, criminalized, othered. It makes the work that you all do, the work that we do, that much harder. And we have to restore that faith in our systems, in our people, in the evidence-based approaches that work when they're funded to scale. And how do we do that? We do it by staying unified, not losing our joy, and by fighting for what we believe in, even in the most challenging of circumstances. We send our people closest to the problem we seek to solve and embed equity in our policies and practices. We stay true to the policies and practices that work, and we adapt or pivot when things don't work. We innovate and we try new things when we need to. We educate and communicate with people, not just the people who agree with us, but people outside of our circles who need better information to know what policies and practices to support. We push for increased investments by federal, state, and local governments in housing that is accessible and affordable for all people with extremely low incomes. And we advocate just as hard to bring affordable and accessible healthcare and service options to scale that meet people where they are. We support our workforce by advocating for the things that they need to maintain stability and do their jobs well. We learn from and support each other. And what we need from you, the folks in this audience, is partnership. It's partnership to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to meet the needs of folks experiencing homelessness and the people who serve them across the country. So please, please keep supporting programs that work in your communities. Maintain fidelity to the evidence-based models that act as the foundation of our ability to get folks into housing. Please continue to focus on the equity work that is so important to our progress. Partner with and hire people who have lived experience of homelessness and housing instability. Support local and national efforts to combat policies and laws that criminalize people just for existing in public spaces. And please join our network at the Alliance to stay informed on what's happening nationally. Act as ambassadors for this work with your local leaders, including your members of Congress. You all are the most effective messengers that we have. And this is the year, 2024 is the year we need your voice more than ever. and make connections with each other and with us so we can do this work together. So I'm going to say one last thing about my Tio Mario to close us out. As the head of his order was winding down the eulogy, he named one other important lesson he learned from my uncle. He said, "When you return home, make what you know and believe a reality." And that feels particularly important for a conference like this one. We can talk and learn, but if we don't put those words and teachings into action, we're wasting our energy. What you learn here should not stay here. I hope this week you all feel unified, you find joy, and you walk away on Wednesday with tools to fight for what you believe in. But most importantly, I hope that when you return home, you can make what you learn and believe a reality. Well, I hope that folks are feeling some joy and positive energy in this room because we are just getting this week started. And again, we are so, so happy to have you here. Thank you all for being here. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks in advance to all of our speakers and to the entire Alliance staff for putting together this incredible agenda for the next 3 days. I hope everyone has a great, great conference. Thank you so much. And now it is my pleasure to invite 3 of our senior leaders to the stage to share a little bit more about their team's priorities and to tell you about some of the advisory bodies that we collaborate with. Please welcome Joy Moses, our Vice President for Research and Evaluation, Mary Frances Kenion, our Vice President for Training and Technical Assistance, and Marcy Thompson, our Vice President for Programs and Policy. Thank you again. Have a great conference.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Anne, for getting us started in such a powerful way. And then I'm going to transition and talk about research. So hopefully you stay with me. I'm going to hit some highlights of some work that we've been doing. I have a wonderful, hardworking team that's been doing its very best to contribute to our efforts to end homelessness. I will begin by talking about one of the themes for this conference, the theme for this conference, Unsheltered Homelessness. In the days before we arrived in San Francisco, my team members, Nicole Dubois and McKenna James, released a report and an interactive map focused on the highly impressive work of communities chosen by HUD to receive grants to address unsheltered homelessness. Through interviews with system leaders, Dubois learned how they were expanding the availability of permanent housing, ensuring access to services that aid with housing stability, and reaching new subpopulations through street outreach. There's far more to the story, and we'll continue telling it. I highly encourage you to read about it on our website, endhomelessness.org. And then I think we also had the actual link to the report on the previous slide. So please do look for that and continue to follow that work. The Alliance's Research Council has continued to advise HRI on the direction of its work, including internal and external research projects, as well as plans to expand our research network to include the growing number of people contributing to the knowledge base on homelessness. Last week, Andrew Hall officially launched the new and expanded network, which will allow researchers to share ideas and connect their work to the worlds of policy and practice. The first meeting focused on methods of incorporating people with lived experience into research designs, and far more will come with regular meetings and a potential convening in the coming months. Daniel Susi has been laying the groundwork for a research project focused on how to best incorporate people with lived experience in meaningful work and decision-making. They also recently published a brief highlighting data and research related to gender expansive people experiencing homelessness. Again, I encourage you to look at that. And I think we have it up on the screen. So you have no excuse not to find it. Yeah, I'm not going to linger too long, but hopefully it'll stay up there. So you can definitely click to it and read through. The Research Institute has further been immersed in work related to the homeless services workforce. At the July conference, we announced the launch of a nationwide workforce survey and asked for your participation. Over 5,000 of you answered the call, and we were very impressed and very happy. And the primary report for that was published at the end of last year. So please, if you haven't seen already, again, look at the website and see what you all talked about. Essentially, we heard about the challenges posed by such factors as high employee turnover and limited salaries. Follow-up analysis will include a focus on workers largely reaching people living unsheltered and other topics. So please look out for that. Also on workforce issues, one of our team members, Nicole Dubois and Oliva, our fearless leader, calculated the cost of ensuring that ensuring how much money would be required to ensure that the homeless services workforce could actually afford their own housing. The total there was $4.8 billion. We have a lot of work to do. And we are starting down that path, and you'll hear Marcy talk about that more when she comes up. And finally, with the input of our research council, we completed a process of awarding 10 sets of researchers grants to conduct research on topics that include PSH, unsheltered homelessness, and older adults experiencing homelessness. All of these efforts have been designed to inform both service delivery and policies that can reduce and end homelessness. It's not our goal to study homelessness for the sake of studying it. Our work is powered by people like you, countless individuals working throughout the field of homelessness who lend us a few minutes of their time to complete a survey, participate in a focus group, engage in an interview, or give us a lot of feedback. We appreciate it on our processes, ideas, and draft recommendations. We wholeheartedly thank you for your time. And finally, this work would not be possible without the insights and funding of the Hilton Foundation. We definitely thank them. And we look forward to continuing to work with all of you, all of the above, as we move forward in this work. And now I will turn the floor over to my colleague, Mary Frances, who works with our capacity building team.
All right, back again. So as the Vice President of Training and Technical Assistance at the Alliance, it's my honor, and I'm going to make these folks stand up. They're going to kill me later, but that's fine. It's my honor to work alongside the Center for Capacity Building team. So that includes Steve, that includes Malik, Josh, Rachel, and Kay. Stand up, y'all. There we go. There we go. Woo! So we have the best job, in my opinion, because we get to help communities implement solutions and enhance their own capacity. And while each of us on the team brings our own unique lived and professional expertise, we've been out of direct service work for varying amounts of time. So we really have to rely on our connections to the broader field to help inform our work. So whether we're diving into emergency shelter best practices with the folks in Asheville, North Carolina, or Eugene, Oregon, connecting with many of you virtually in our recently launched System Series Roundtable, having an open conversation with enrollees in our Center for Learning courses at office hours, or having opportunities like this to connect with each of you, we really fill our cup by collaborating with people just like us, who are committed to preventing and ending homelessness. I want to give a special thanks to the members of our Capacity Building Network. So if you all are here, I know some of y'all are in this room, please stand up, because these folks are often our ears and eyes on the ground, helping us understand the successes, innovations, and challenges that they see emerging in communities they support. and talked about the increase in unsheltered homelessness. And with that increase, we definitely have our work cut out for us. So it's going to take everyone in this room and beyond through collective action, because no matter who we are, where we come from, how much we earn, or the types of difficulties that we might have faced in the past, we all want to live a life that gives us that joy and connects us to things that keep us healthy, like a home. For many of us, the conference is a time to reconnect with colleagues and friends from all over. But with nearly 550 people who are at an Alliance conference for the very first time, I want to encourage old timers to please make sure that you're making new connections over the next 3 days. Now, it's no secret that we are in an area where there are people in active addiction right outside of these doors. And there's going to be happy hour events throughout the conference. As someone herself, me, who is in long-term recovery, I want to let you know that you don't have to navigate this alone. All happy hour events will have non-alcoholic mocktails, and there are opportunities close by to tap into sobriety or recovery networks. So please swing past our on-site case management team. They're located right outside of the Tower 1 elevators, and let them know that you would like a list of nearby meetings while you're here, or if you're not comfortable with that, just shoot me a message in the Hoover app. Lastly, if you would like more information about the Center for Capacity Building and what it is that we do, please click on training in the Hoover app, or you can visit our website. I'd also encourage you to run, don't walk to our Center for Learning table to play our knowledge check game. It was a major hit at the last conference, and you have a chance to win cool prizes like one of our self-paced online learning courses or an Alliance t-shirt, and we run out quickly. So as a reminder for those of you that may not know, we offer free courses to people with recent lived experience of homelessness, as well as discounts to organizations with smaller budgets. So to wrap us up here, I'd like to turn it over to my friend and colleague, Marcy.
All right. Thank you so much, Mary Frances, and good afternoon. So my name is Marcy Thompson, and I'm the Vice President for Programs and Policy. I've been here at the Alliance for just under a year, but I've been on this journey for 21 years. I started out as a behavioral health case manager for a county shelter plus care program, for whoever can remember that, back in 2003. And although my time in that role was brief in the span of my career, it has stuck with me for all of these years. Since then, I spent more than a decade working on homelessness programs and policy at HUD, followed by almost 5 years as a technical assistance provider. Here's what I learned. Even the most well-intentioned policy that is not designed with community can make the work in community so much harder and can even create harm. I've been on a mission since leaving TA at the end of 2021 to find a place where I could work on making policy differently, and found that when I landed at the Alliance last year and had the opportunity to reunite with my old boss, Oliva, and to work alongside this incredible team of change makers. Today, I'd love to tell you a little bit about what the policy team is up to. And team, if you're in the room, please stand up when you hear your name. John Threlkeld and Steve Berg lead our legislative efforts, working to educate Congress about homelessness, advocate for increased funding, promote effective policy solutions, and fight against dangerous bills like the Housing Plus Act. They do this in partnership with Samantha Wood, who makes sure that we are growing our network of advocates in the field, because you are who Congress really needs to hear from. Speaking of which, yesterday, the leaders of the House and Senate agreed to an FY24 spending bill for HUD programs that is actually not terrible. Here are just a couple of highlights that are the direct result of our collective advocacy effort. The bill, if passed, provides $4.05 billion for HUD's homeless assistance grants, which is a $418 million increase above last year, and includes, and includes, among other things, a $25 million cost of living adjustment for frontline staff. In addition, the bill would authorize HUD to run the COC program competition every other year rather than every year. So while we are very excited about this, it is not over yet. The funding bill will be moving to Congress for a vote later this week, and they need to hear from you to urge them to support this bill. The Advocacy Hub will be up and running after the plenary, so please stop by and talk with us to learn more about how to get involved. Although most of our work focuses on federal policy, we know that so much is being decided in state legislatures, so we are engaging there too. Alex Vysotsky is making sure that we are in tune with what is happening here in California. And as a team, we are working directly with states who are combating harmful legislation that would criminalize homelessness. Along with our national partners, we are working with state advocates to build tools that go beyond simply saying why criminalization is bad. Instead, we will be sharing tactics that have been used successfully to block these harmful bills and provide guidance on, in the meantime, strategies and long-term solutions. The work of our policy analysts, Ken Williamson, Dr. Yolanda Stevens, and Alec Vandenberg, cuts across three verticals: housing, healthcare and services, and systems and partnerships. They, along with Sharon McDonald, our lead on family and youth homelessness, are responsible for promoting short and medium-term policy reforms and developing a bold long-term policy vision for preventing and ending homelessness, a vision that must go beyond the systems that we now have and one in which everyone can see themselves in. We do our work in collaboration with other teams at the Alliance, and we leverage existing groups to inform our work, such as our Leadership Council, which is an advisory group of leaders from around the country who have made a real impact in their communities. To the members of our Leadership Council who are here today, thank you so much for sharing what you know so openly and generously. Your contributions directly influence our efforts to improve federal policy. Most importantly, though, as we work to build out a robust and transformative policy agenda, our number one priority is building partnerships with you, because you all, along with your colleagues back at home and the people who are experiencing homelessness in your communities, you are the experts. And it is our job to listen and to use our platform to develop and promote policy solutions informed directly by and with you. I have been counting down the days to this week. Being here with all of you feeds my soul and fills me with hope. I am always so excited to see familiar faces and old friends, but today, my heart is overjoyed at seeing all the new faces who are here for the first time. I see you and you belong here. Because here's the thing, we need everyone in this fight to feel the energy that comes from being in this room. These moments together remind us that we are a part of something so much bigger, and perhaps they expand our capacity to feel hope too. Desmond Tutu said, "Hope is being able to see that there is light despite all of the darkness, and you all are my light. I know the road ahead is long and hard, but united, we will prevail." So I'm going to now turn it over to the one and only Shalom Mulkey, our President and Chief Operating Officer, who makes it all happen behind the scenes. Please welcome me in joining her to the stage.
Thank you, Marcy. Is this an incredible team? Yes, it really is. So this conference brings what is behind the scenes for a lot of us right up to the front. And before I get into the things we want you to know about this conference part of these remarks, I want to recognize really quickly the really incredible operations and event team members who I am privileged to work with throughout the year to make these events happen. I'm going to call off their names. I'm going to pretend that they're standing. They're not in here. They're doing the work out there. Allie M, Allie P, Caitlin, Gina, and Teresa. Without them, this event wouldn't be happening. So I do have a request of you. Stop by the registration desk, find them, say thank you. So now I want to pull back the curtain just a little bit on what a day in the life of an Alliance staff member looks like when we're at the conference. They're laughing. The thing you need to know is it starts early, sometimes too early. It starts with a meeting of the whole staff, and we start each day this way. We gather to share, the logistical information we want to make sure we can communicate to all of you. But more importantly, it's a quick moment for us to center and focus ourselves on the opportunities that are ahead for learning and sharing and connecting with all of you. So this morning, because it was our first meeting, there was a bit of a topic of conversation that was somewhat informal, and we were trying to figure out what number conference this is for all of us. As you can imagine, for some of us, this is our first conference. For one person in this room, it's their 46th conference. Yeah. You can guess. For me, it's number 30. Yeah, oh, okay, sure. I'll take it. But whether it's our first conference, our 4th, our 10th, or our 46th, what we want you to know is all of us are coming into the space to listen, to learn, and to connect with you. You heard it in everyone's remarks who came up here. You need to know, and I think you've heard it, is that what happens in these spaces and the conversations that we have with all of you informs our work throughout the year. So once again, we thank you for being here. We thank you for participating so fully and sharing your learnings with us. So as we've been, working to get this conference pulled together, there are several things we do hope you take away from your time together this week. But the biggest one is the one we hope you start with, which is this conference is actually your conference. We do the planning, you make it happen. So, as Marcy said, you are the experts. If you are looking through this conference agenda and you feel like there's content that's missing or conversations that you want to make space for, come find an Alliance staff person and we'll see what we can make happen. There are already a couple opportunities that we wanted to make sure you know about. One in particular, True Colors United, is hosting a 90-minute listening session tomorrow morning in Union Square for providers working with people experiencing homelessness. Their work is also informed by you. We also really encourage you all to share your expertise and sign up to host a roundtable discussion on Wednesday morning. These roundtable discussions are on a topic of anything of your choice, and you will be able to host a table and have conversation with folks who come to those spaces. You can sign up via the conference app or stop by the registration desk and we can also help you sign up. The bigger one for us this year in particular is we need you to help inform us what you want to see in these conferences. And there are multiple ways to do that. One, take your surveys. We do read them and they do inform us, so please do that. But the other big one is after the closing plenary on Wednesday, we're going to have a post-conference reception where you are all invited and the Alliance staff will be there to hear from you, your suggestions and your ideas for what you want to see in these conferences. So please do, if you are here, come to that post-conference reception. So we've heard a lot from everyone about making connections and conversations and how that is really driving us. There are several opportunities for that. One, you've all been doing it in the app already, which has been amazing. So thank you for participating there. But some in-person opportunities. We have a networking reception tonight that will be in this space. We have a network breakfast tomorrow morning, which we are creating some dedicated spaces for folks to have informal conversations with your peer groups. You don't have to go to those spaces, but they're there. And the other thing that we're doing that is new for us this year is we're actually holding a fundraiser event tomorrow night with the hotel. The hotel, this is our Gather and Give Back event. This is going to be an event that is actually, if you haven't made it up to Cityscape yet, it's the roof or the hotel's top floor lounge. And with the hotel, we are, for this week, having donating a percentage of the proceeds of specific drinks to some local providers. And so we do encourage folks, if you want another space to just go network, to go up there tomorrow night. And then just a few final reminders as we begin to move into navigating our time together. And these are going to seem like really housekeeping, and that's just where we have to end it. So please wear your name badges. They matter. You may not know, but there is actually another conference happening in the hotel on the other side. And so this will really help us be able to navigate this space together with them. Additionally, while masks are not required, we did provide them, and it is our expectation that all attendees will really respect people's individual choices about wearing masks. And then finally, it's really important to know that the Alliance has a zero tolerance policy for any form of discrimination or abusive behavior. And we are striving to maintain an environment that is respectful and free from harm or harassment. If you encounter anything that makes you feel unsafe, please, please, please come notify an Alliance staff member. You can find us. I don't have it on. We all have metal name badges, but please come and find us. And lastly, I want to end where I think we all began, which as we move into this week together, know that the Alliance staff is here to listen, learn, and connect with you. So please come find us. Have a really, really, really fantastic conference. I can't wait to talk to you on the other side to hear everything you've learned. Thank you.
They work hard, they come out here, they walking up and down, trying to get people to sign up for housing.
They talk to people like they're human, not like there's some disease on the street.
Burnout and turnover, I would say, are at crisis levels since COVID. People burn out in this field because they give so much, they don't have anything left to give.
We all take our work home, even if we don't want to. It's hard to turn the work phone off because I know that the worst things that will happen to our clients will be after we go home.
It's been a long time to reach my purpose in life. I've held many jobs.
The relationship that a case manager has to the person they're working with is extremely vital. When you lose somebody who's really good because they get burnt out, that's actually a big loss for people who built that relationship with them.
They ask you about your family, your job, how are you? They pretty much take their shirts off and give it to you.
Without relationships, without trust, you're not going to be able to help them because they're not going to open up.
I don't think people understand the difficulties of frontline work. The hours are long. The people are dealing with extreme amounts of stress and trauma. They are not being provided the tools and the services to actually give the people that they're serving.
The hardest part is when someone doesn't get what they need and I have to see their face with you know, so much sadness, so much hurt. I myself went through homelessness, so I know how it feels.
You go into this field in the beginning with high aspirations. You believe that the system is set up for you to help people and that you have the resources to help them. But then you realize you don't have the resources to help these folks. It's never enough.
It can be overwhelming to hear a lot of people's problems all day, but if I can make a difference somehow, just like someone made a difference for me, then it's worth it.
Those that are experiencing homelessness, they deserve individuals that care about their jobs, that actually want to be out here. And I want to be that person for them.